I have never experienced something like what it's like covering a Caitlin Clark game. It's like going to a concert.
The haters are fuming again, and this time it's not because Caitlin Clark dropped another logo 3 or because she just pulled in another sold-out arena. No, the trigger came from ESPN's own Ryan Ruocco, one of the most respected play-by-play voices in the game, who compared covering a Caitlin Clark matchup to going to a concert.
I'd like to ask everyone we interview, and this might be a little difficult, but who is your favorite athlete in women's sports and why?
Ooh, I'll just tell you what happens when an active play-by-play broadcaster gets asked something like that. Like, even people, if they're like, oh, who's your favorite partner to work with or whatever, it's like you start thinking about, like, how do I not anger people who I have relationships with? So the way I will answer it is this. I have never experienced something like what it's like covering a Caitlin Clark game.
Let that sink in. A concert, not just a basketball game, not just a big night in the league, but a full-blown cultural event. And instantly, you could hear the excuses bubbling from every corner of the anti-Clark brigade. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete anymore. She's the main event, the headliner, the reason the atmosphere shifts the second she steps on the court. And for some people, that reality burns. They'll say it's hype. They'll say it's ESPN marketing. They'll nitpick her turnovers, anything to downplay what's happening right in front of them. But when a broadcaster with Ruocco's credibility says flat out that Clark makes the game feel different, the debate changes.
It's like going to a concert. And the anticipation when she pulls up from 30 feet, the reaction of the crowd, the attention from home, the emotional investment from fans, and a broad stroke of fans is unlike anything I've experienced in the sports that I cover. So covering her games is just a completely unique experience in the best way.
That's not fan bias, that's industry validation, and it exposes exactly why Caitlin Clark has become the most polarizing figure in women's basketball. So let's break it down. The hype, the backlash, and why Ryan Ruocco's words just poured gasoline on the fire. To really grasp why Ryan Ruocco's words hit like a thunderclap, you've got to step back and look at the bigger picture. Women's basketball has been begging for this kind of mainstream traction for decades. Legends like Lisa Leslie, Diana Taurasi, and Sue Bird all carved out iconic careers, but none of them consistently turned a random Tuesday night regular season game into a must-watch spectacle. Then along comes Caitlin Clark. From the moment she started dropping 40-point bombs at Iowa, she rewired the entire conversation. Fans weren't just tuning in for the scoreboard, they were tuning in for the experience. She made logo threes feel like breaking news. She made arenas sell out overnight. She made people who had never watched a women's game suddenly circle dates on their calendar.
And it would be dishonest for me to say anything other than that if you're just talking about a regular season game to a regular season game, because there's just like a very unique phenomenon, which you guys are well aware of, around her that really makes every broadcast she's involved in feel like this big event.
That's the backdrop Ruocco was speaking into. He wasn't just tossing out compliments, he was confirming what millions of fans have already felt, that Caitlin Clark's games are events, not just contests. And that's why his concert comparison struck such a nerve. Pause right there. This is a guy who's called NBA Finals, MLB playoff games, college championships. He's been in some of the loudest arenas in sports, and yet he singles out Caitlin Clark's WNBA games as something different. That's not fluff. That's a broadcaster at the top of his craft saying, this player is on another level. And the imagery he chose? A concert. Not a scrappy rivalry, not a playoff battle, not even electric, but a concert. Why? Because concerts are about anticipation and energy. You don't just go to see the music, you go for the shared chaos. Thousands of people living and breathing the same moment. That's what Ruocco says it feels like when Clark pulls up from 30 feet. The arena doesn't just react after the ball goes in. They react the second she rises to shoot. That's theater. That's performance. That's superstardom. Of course, the haters couldn't stand it. They jumped on social media with the usual routine. She turns it over too much. Other players can shoot too. ESPN forces her on us. But every excuse just proves Ruocco's point. Because no matter how much they nitpick, none of them can replicate the atmosphere he's describing. Nobody else in the league, not Asia Wilson, not Breanna Stewart, not Sabrina Ionescu, makes regular season games feel like once-in-a-lifetime events. And that's why his words cut so deep. Ruocco wasn't hyping a stat line. He was describing an experience. And experiences can't be faked. Here's where things get messy, because Ruocco's words didn't just praise Caitlin Clark. They exposed a tension that's been simmering inside the WNBA for years. On one hand, the league has begged for mainstream attention, more fans, more ratings, more sponsorships. But now that Clark is delivering all of that in record numbers, suddenly we hear grumbling from certain corners. It's too much attention on one player. The coverage isn't balanced. What about the others? You can't have it both ways. Either you want the spotlight or you don't. But the reality is this: stardom isn't a democracy. The market decides. Fans decide. And right now, the market has spoken loud and clear. Caitlin Clark is the draw. That's why Ruocco's concert line stings so badly. The contradiction is brutal. The same voices claiming they want the league to grow are the ones downplaying the very phenomenon making it happen.
Well, Caitlin Clark has had a remarkable impact on attendance. 35 consecutive sellouts at Carver Hawkeye. The senior average attendance over 14,900. Rookie season with Indiana, the home average attendance, a WNBA record over 17,000. And on the road, a league record over 15,000 average attendance.
And that's why Ruocco's words hit like a gut punch, because when a respected broadcaster confirms what the fans feel in their bones, the excuses collapse. The truth stands tall. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the WNBA story. She is the story. Let's strip this all the way down. What exactly makes Caitlin Clark different? Because haters love to reduce her stardom to media hype, but hype only lasts if there's nothing behind it. Clark has substance, both technically and culturally. On the court, she's redefining shot selection. Those 28 to 30 footers she takes, coaches used to call those bad shots. Now they're part of her arsenal. The way she manipulates defenses is surgical. She forces teams to extend out so far that entire lanes open up for her teammates. That's geometry. That's gravity. Things you can measure on film. And when Ruocco compares her game to a concert, he's talking about that shared anticipation. Everyone in the building knows something wild might happen the second she crosses half court. But it's not just the threes. It's the flair, the whip passes through traffic, the no-look assists, the willingness to take and make shots under pressure. She's got that showmanship gene, the rare mix of skill and entertainment value. That's why kids copy her form on playgrounds, why social media explodes after every deep pull-up. Then there's the personal side. Clark didn't come out of nowhere. She carried massive hype at Iowa, shouldered the pressure, and delivered historic runs. Instead of crumbling under expectations, she thrived. That consistency is what separates flash-in-the-pan players from generational stars. Ruocco sees it, fans feel it, and the haters? They can't stomach that she's lived up to the billing. Most importantly, Clark makes people care. In sports, that's everything. It's not just the made shots, it's the held breath before the release. It's the groans from opposing fans when she heats up. It's the roar when she buries one from the logo. That's why Ruocco reached for the concert metaphor, because concerts aren't about technical perfection. Without her, arenas that once buzzed with energy suddenly feel flat. Sponsors notice, networks notice, and most importantly, fans notice. The Clark effect has been the foundation of the WNBA's historic 2024 and 2025 growth, and now that foundation looks shaky. The commissioner's attempt to downplay the issue by pointing to depth and other stars only highlights the uncomfortable truth. There isn't another Caitlin Clark. No one else can draw 600,000 fans into arenas in a single season. No one else can single-handedly turn a Tuesday night game into primetime television. And while the league insists it is resilient, the numbers tell a different story. Ticket resales plummet when Clark is out. Television ratings dip. Even merchandise tables at arenas show the difference. Clark's jerseys sell out within minutes, while racks of other stars' shirts collect dust. This isn't just a basketball injury. It's an economic crisis. The commissioner is stuck in a corner. Admit the league is overly dependent on one rookie, or pretend everything is fine while fans, media, and even players know otherwise. At the same time, the broader impact stretches into locker rooms. Players are asking uncomfortable questions. Are we doing enough to protect stars like Clark from overuse? Why is the rookie carrying such a heavy load while veterans coast? Coaches are being second-guessed. Medical staffs are under scrutiny, and rival teams smell opportunity. If the Fever collapse without Clark, the playoff race opens wide. But here's the brutal truth. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA risks losing the casual fans it just won over, and those fans may not come back. So where does this all lead? What are the possible outcomes for Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and the WNBA as a whole? Right now, everything hinges on decisions being made in real time. 3. The middle ground. Perhaps the most likely outcome. Clark misses some time, returns at less than 100%, and struggles to regain her dominance right away. The Fever wobble. The league stabilizes but never hits the same highs it did during her rookie year, and fans are left wondering what could have been. In this version, the commissioner and league office face their biggest biggest challenge: how to keep momentum alive without overexposing or exhausting the very player driving it. The long-term impact. No matter what happens this season, the bigger question is how the WNBA learns from this. Will the league implement stricter guidelines on player rest and workload management? Will coaches be pressured to protect stars even if it costs a few wins? And how will other players respond to the reality that one rookie has become the lifeline of an entire league? The truth is, Caitlin Clark's injury is more than a medical update. It's a turning point. The commissioner's response isn't just about defending one team or one player. It's about admitting whether the WNBA is ready to protect its future, or whether it will gamble everything on the fragile health of one superstar. Because here's the bottom line: if Clark goes down for good, the WNBA's golden era could vanish before it ever truly began. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a box score or a headline. This is about the survival of a league that has staked its future on one rookie's shoulders. Caitlin Clark's injury scare ripped the curtain down and forced everyone, from the commissioner to the Fever's coaching staff, to face a brutal truth. There's no safety net, no backup plan, no second superstar waiting in the wings to absorb the blow if Clark can't carry the weight. And that's why the commissioner's words matter so much, because fans aren't just watching Clark, they're watching the league itself to see if it's bold enough to protect its brightest light, or reckless enough to risk burning her out before her story even begins. Think about it. Michael Jordan had the Jordan rules. LeBron James had rest days built into his career. Even Steph Curry, the player most often compared to Clark, had seasons where his minutes were carefully managed to preserve his longevity. But Clark, she's being asked to save a franchise, transform a league, and do it all without a break. That's not just unfair, it's unsustainable. So here's the takeaway. Caitlin Clark's health isn't just a Fever problem, it's a WNBA problem. It's a cultural problem. It's the question that will define the next decade of women's basketball. Will the league finally learn to protect its stars, or will it gamble them away chasing short-term glory? Because one thing is clear, without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA looks a lot darker, and the clock is ticking. Thanks for watching Her Hoops, the place where we tell the truth about the WNBA, whether the league likes it or not. If you love this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Her Hoops so you don't miss the next deep dive. This isn't just basketball, this is a movement, and we're only getting started.